handle this. So yeah, they
Yeah.
don't have the infrastructure to kind of handle this. So, like dripping the faucets, like I feel like the apartments are not as insulated. So the heater is just running constantly. I'm like, fuck, my bill is gonna be crazy this month, you know?
I know for sure, man. So we spent me and my wife Stephanie, we spent a winter in Dallas in 2020.
Okay.
So we're from Minneapolis and we're like, that's it, we're done. We're done with the cold. We were already kind of like trying to plan our escape. And we have a lot of clients and close friends in Dallas. So we're like, I think this is the place. Well, we go down to Dallas, for the 3.5 months. And it was that one winter where same thing, like everything shut down. I mean, it was crazy. And like, we're used to driving in the snow. So we're
Yeah.
like, we're the only ones on the road going to the gym. And it was just like it was like a hasty decision. And I'm like, oh, hell no, I'm not moving here. If I can't escape it in Texas, like I'm done. I'm done with this place. So
Yeah.
there was some regret there. But then ultimately, that's why we landed in Vegas.
Yeah, yeah, they don't have the infrastructure. Like, I'm like 5 minutes from destination, but I
Yeah.
have not seen one plow, one salt, nothing. The roads are just straight ice. So it's not like you can just go anywhere, you know? Like it's literally straight ice right now.
Yeah.
Um, so it's kind of like, damn, like, there's plenty of space around here. You can easily get like a salt dome and salt these roads and just plow, man. Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know. It's a little strange. It's a little strange. Yeah.
Now I haven't looked at the temperature, but like, is it over or is there still like, is there more coming or?
Yeah, so apparently it started yesterday and it's gonna continue on till about Tuesday. So the problem is, like I said, right? Like if this was the Northeast, the snow is not bad. It's not like it's in inches. It's just they don't have the infrastructure to melt the ice.
Yep.
So we literally have to wait till it gets warm enough for the ice to thaw. And it's not gonna get warm enough till about Tuesday, hopefully.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I gotta hit the gym, man. It's off season. I gotta keep it going. So
Yes, you
we'll see what
do.
happens from tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, Ken, this is my good buddy Chris Kirkhoff. He's a
Hey,
regular on
nice
the
to meet you.
pod.
How you doing, Chris?
Good, nice to meet you.
Yeah. So
Great,
Chris
great.
just moved from like the Austin area. He
Okay.
moved to Montana.
Okay. It's okay. So I'm kind of interested because like if you move from Texas, you both fled Texas. So what's the reason for moving from Austin to to where you are?
Well, I wasn't from Texas, so I mean, I
Okay.
I grew up in Minnesota. Like me and Chris have known each other for a couple decades. So
Okay.
like grew up there, went to school there, and I mean, I lived in Texas for 7 years. I don't dislike it. Like Texas to me it's like a top tier state. Like it would be up there. We just wanted to live in Montana. Like I like having all the seasons. I really like mountains. And I mean, Texas is great, but it's also like 5 months out of the year where it's like 100 plus every single day.
And
Like,
it's flat too. Like coming
yeah,
from Jersey, you're not coming here for the scenery. Let's
yeah.
just put it that way, you
And it's
know?
funny because like the last 3 years we were there, like every February, and it's happening right now, is like, this ice and the snow, and like what you said is like there's nothing to manage anything. So you're
Yeah.
just stuck, like you're stuck at home. And it's funny sitting here. We have no snow on the ground here living in Northwest Montana, and there's this record, like snowstorm sweeping the nation. We got nothing, absolutely
Yeah.
nothing.
It's crazy, man. It's just the way the world works. It's so crazy. It's
Yeah.
so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get right into it for the viewers. We have a special guest, IFBB Pro Ken. Is it Anyanwu? Did I get it right?
Close. And Yanwu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we've been going back and forth, but yeah, glad to finally get you on here, man.
Yeah, no, no, appreciate it. I've watched a few of your episodes so far, and like I said, I'm always looking to get to know more people and just connect more in the industry, and for your audience, like, if they want to know anything about me and hopefully some of the things we chat about today can help someone who's coming up. I know for myself, one of my big things is focused on the amateur bodybuilder, right? That's trying to turn pro. A lot of us have gone through that gauntlet, right? So to hopefully not make the same mistakes that we did, right? To get all the way here, and you can do it in a shorter and hopefully a healthier fashion, right? So Yeah.
Yeah, I love that, man. Yeah, we're all about helping people, and it's always fun to share the stories. Like you got to look back and just laugh at some of the stuff, you know.
Yeah. So
Well,
before we go
yeah.
forward, I mean, Chris, like you, because I know, did we compete together? I feel like were you at North Americans?
Yeah, we did North Americans.
Yeah.
That's when you turned pro and won the overall.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think I saw you there. That's what I recall. Yeah, over at North Americans. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I remember
Awesome.
like looking back and going through the pictures, and I'm like, damn, this guy's gonna be something. Like he's gonna be killer. So I was already following you beforehand,
Yeah.
and then I was like, I saw you like we had Beatty on the show, so like I'll tune into his when I get 3 hours of spare time, right? And
Right.
then I would see your progress, leading up to the pro debut legions, and I'm like, man, this guy has everything. Like you got all the tools. So I think watching, the leading up to the pro debut was pretty cool, man. Motivating for sure.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. You know, a part of that with the pro debut is like the when I look back now, and one thing I definitely tell people, even if forget it for the views, just if you can take a camcorder, take your phone, record, the process, right? Even if you don't have to post it on YouTube, just give yourself kind of like a diary, right? Like a video diary of going through that process. When I look back now, I'm like, I see points in that pro debut where we could have maybe turned. I think I pulled the Samson towards the end where it's just like we've got to get all the way down. Because when I look at my physique at like the 9 weeks, 8 weeks out, I was rock solid. Like I would
Mhm.
say anything from there, we should maybe pulled maybe 10 from there and left it. But we pulled too hard towards the end. And I think like I was still really good for a pro debut, but it wasn't the look that I personally wanted. And we tried to bring it back through Legions, from New York to Legions, and the Legions look was a lot better, which I liked.
Mhm.
But I'm like, damn, now I know what we did. This next time around, I definitely want to make some changes because the hardest part for me, mentally speaking, was for those of you who are when you turn pro, for those of you who are watching, when you turn pro, you probably understand this. Your pro debut is probably the toughest show you will probably do mentally speaking. Um, for the simple reason from my end was when you go through, when you finally turn pro, you get your IPP pro card, you start at the bottom again, right? But now at this point, the stakes are a lot higher.
Mhm.
It's like, are you doing this out of a passion and a hobby? Or is this something that maybe in the future you can make some kind of money out of? You can sustain yourself with this passion and this dream that you want for yourself, right? And all that, once you turn to the pro ranks, it's the doors are wide open. You have people who live their life with bodybuilding. They have all the financial avenues to make this a success for them. And you're kind of the new guy on the block. You're still trying to work your way up. And it's kind of like, okay, if I do this pro debut and I come 16th out of 16, everything I've done to get here, is it worth it? And if I keep going and I don't continue to improve past this point, is it worth it? Like, am I just
Mhm.
harming myself? Right. So those are kind of the things that were going through my mind during the pro debut. It's like, damn, if I don't make first call outs, if I come like third call outs and I do another season, I may have to call this quits. Maybe I just don't have what it takes to rock with the pros because getting to the IPB Pro card is a big monumental step for people. I don't care what the old heads say. Oh, everyone's getting a pro card. Well, I ain't seen everyone get a pro card, right? I don't care. Like, so when you get that pro card, for some people, that is if you have a business or you've been grinding for 10 years, that's the end of the road, right? And then there's some people where when you get the pro card, it's like, okay, the next step is the Olympia. And if you can't make it to the Olympia, that's the end of the road for you.
Right.
So I'm kind of in that second boat where the pro card for me was a step to get my shot to at least go to the Olympia and try and stand with the best of the best. And that thought of maybe you don't qualify to be in that category was really what hampered me from a mental perspective. But thankfully now I know that, looking back and the placings and everything, I made first call outs. I now know that, okay, I kind of have what it takes and I just need to continue steadily progressing. And the time will come. Not everyone's an Andrew Jacked or a Nick Walker that wins their first pro show, right? But you keep doing what you need to do each year, making those improvements, and then eventually you'll get there.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we'll kind of jump around a little bit. I mean, we gotta talk about what's next because I'm sure I would assume that you're planning a few shows this year.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, so I'm not gonna do, New York. That's a show that I really want to win, being from Jersey.
Hmm.
It's kind of like our home show, right? But
Right.
um, yeah, after last year, I just figured like the game plan, I need a little bit more time in the oven, bringing up my back. I think my back is probably the one thing I would say that probably would have held me back from winning a show last year. So I needed a little bit of time. So we went back to the drawing board. So long story short, the answer is I'm probably going to do 3 shows this year. I'm going to focus on Tampa, um, Atlanta. Linda Murray's show. She actually has an open show this year, which
Right.
is in between. So I'll be jumping in there as well, and then I'll be finishing up with Texas. So end of the year shows is a dogfight. Everyone and their mother wants to qualify because the Olympians are done, So I know
Absolutely.
it's gonna be tough, but I think it's gonna be worth it because a lot of the newer guys too. I think they're targeting those dates, like Joe, a few of the new guys I've spoken to, Jordan, obviously.
Yeah.
So it'd be fun to see everyone on stage and kind of just like battle it out.
Yeah, I love it, man. I think that's a great plan. I know like a bunch of the pros that I've talked to, confirmed exactly what you said. They're kind of looking at, at least two out of the three shows. So, but I think it's a great move. I think you get more time, bring up a few things. And I think anyone that knows bodybuilding and has seen your pictures, knows that you're like right there.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, if you're not already made it to the Olympia a couple of times, you're probably ending up on one of those 3 shows,
Yeah.
Because last year, like, I mean, Sass, Bonac, they kind of ran the gauntlet through the first half of the year.
Yeah.
Um, so, most new guys, it's kind of like, well, I'll see how I do, but Bonac is a veteran. This guy was third place at the Olympia at one point, So it's kind of like when you're new on the scene, unless you're really, really, really good, you're kind of locked out and you have to be strategic in how you go with your shows. That's something that I realized. Like if I had done the later shows last year, I still did well in New York and Legion, but the later shows, I feel like I maybe it would have been nicer. I think I would have had an even better experience, because I'm competing with people around my peers who are still trying to make it to the Olympia versus guys that have been there. And it's just another, check mark on the box, so to say. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point that you make too, because it's like, well, we just saw, Clarita win two pro shows, and it's like, kudos to him for keep on, he kept on with the diet, but it's like at the same time, like the big talk was like Nick Walker could have easily crushed those shows, so I know he got some small criticism for like stopping after the Olympia when it's like he could have gotten a couple paychecks easy, if he had
Yeah.
just gone just a few more rounds.
Yeah. And, when you're a big name like that, these checks don't matter. It's like, honestly, a 10 grand check doesn't really matter. Like you're going for the qualification. Like a guy like Nick, outside of the Arnolds, the Olympia, he can place at any show he wants.
Hmm.
Right. So the choice is his. It's basically what works best for his timeline, mentally speaking, physically for the prep. A $10,000 check, it's still $10,000. It's nice, but for a guy at that level, he's not looking at the money when he's picking his shows. He's picking it from a strategic point of winning the Olympia, from that perspective.
Right, right.
What is the schedule on those on your three shows? Like where are they in relation to each other? Are they back to back? Are they back to back like weeks?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So all three would probably be done within 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So Tampa usually starts around like I think like late July, and then Texas is late August.
Yeah.
So all three is pretty much a week or two max apart from each other.
Wow. So once you're like already in that, you're already in that position the first show, like what is your, I guess your strategy or like your mindset when you're doing multiple shows in a row versus guys that are just, I'm peaking for this one show and then we're moving into an off season versus I have to sustain, maintain for, several weeks in a row.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Chris. So amateur, I only did one show per,
Yeah.
like my qualifying for North Americans, I had done the New Jersey State prior. I didn't peak for the show. I just walked in and basically, but at pro ranks, you can't do that, right? So between New York and Legion, I peaked twice. So the strategy was basically after New York, no cheat meals after, no celebration. You're back on the diet and you're pretty much good to go. So we basically, you get to New York, you finish the show, and then you're depleting for the next 2 weeks again. So it's basically like your peak week of the first time. We're basically doing the same thing again for the second time, but because of also like the rebound from diuretics, sometimes you have to be really careful, right? So uh we kind of kept my food low all the way through into Legion. And then we peaked basically the same way for that show, but we just fed me up just a little bit more for the Legion show. And the workouts in between were not like hardcore, right? But those 2 weeks, I wasn't really like training balls to the wall. So I was able to recover a little bit better for Legion while still maintaining, my body fat percentage, like how lean how shredded I was, at that point. So I think that's what helped me look just a little bit better. Like my physique looked less tired at Legion versus New York. And I know that's something that Chris Aceto's clients do a lot, right? Chris is very like notorious for that. Like they can go show after show after show, just because they don't burn themselves out. They get early, they get lean really, really early, and then they basically just coast from show to show. Like those workouts they're not going balls to the wall. They're preserving the body, so to say, just to get to the show. And I know it works. So yeah, that's all I'll say about that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if we look back, we're going way back. How did you get started in bodybuilding? Like to tell the viewers like how you got started, like how did you pick a first show and all that stuff?
Oh man, yeah. So um, I started in bodybuilding. So let me just start from working out, right? It's like I started working out in high school. Towards my senior year of high school was when I started to like really, really get serious with working out. Going to college, I knew that I wasn't going to be playing any sports in college. I wasn't going to play football. I wasn't doing anything. And just the athlete in me, I just wanted to continue to be that person. And back then I was a lot smaller, just like stature wise, right? I'm not a taller guy. So I wanted to start working out for more self-confidence,
Mhm.
just to be like, just, the original vanity reasons. You want to look good for the girls, you want to be a little bit more confident, things like that. And I started going to my hometown gym, and there was a bodybuilder there. That was my first time that I ever knew or saw anything about bodybuilding. And I couldn't believe it. Like I couldn't believe it. And I approached him, Mike Lita, and I asked him, "What do you do? How big are your arms?" The standard questions that when I get them today, I get pissed off, right?
Yeah.
Those questions. And he's basically like, "All right, you know what? You should go watch Pump and Iron. Like that'd give you a good idea of like what bodybuilding is." And then I ended up watching it, and he was right. It gave me a good idea of what to do. So from there, I got the Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. I started training. And then that was the era of bodybuilding.com for a lot of people who don't know. So bodybuilding.com it was the big site back then after the
Right.
forums and stuff. And they would have these workout plans from Chris Gethin and, Hani Rambod, FST7, all this stuff was on there. And I would just do the programs, program after program after program. And by the time I got to college, when I started, I was like 160 pounds. My first year doing bodybuilding, just training like a bodybuilder, eating. At that time, I would just have like, I wasn't measuring anything. I would just take like three chicken breasts every meal and a cup of rice, like a rice, a fistful of rice. That was
Yeah.
my meals, just constantly, like four times a day, and then eggs in the morning and, toast. And for my college, my freshman year of college, I went from 165 to like 182. So I
Hmm.
put on almost about 20 pounds. And then my sophomore year, um, I kept going up. By the time I was in my junior year, I was like 200, I was like 205, and I was natural. I didn't know anything about, enhancements, nothing. So around my junior year, I decided to finally compete. So I competed naturally, first off. I competed in the IPL and the OCB.
Hmm.
So I did the prep myself. I followed Lane Norton at the time, again, bodybuilding.com. He had like a 12 weeks to get shredded program. And I did that, basically following his plan, carb cycling. And I did pretty well. My first show, which is the one you see of the comparison on Instagram, it was like into some back end in Brooklyn, in New York, in the IPL. I came first in in the novice class, and I came second in the open. So it went really well. And then OCB, I came first in the novice for OCB, and then I graduated college the year after that. And when I graduated, I didn't really have time. I was just a young man, just trying to find myself in the world. I was trying to get a job. I was trying to get situated. And bodybuilding kind of took a back burner. I was more of just working out. I was a gym bro, right? Working out in the gym. During that time, I kind of went into powerlifting for a little bit. So I started competing in powerlifting. I competed twice, won those two, came first. So um, I kind of took a hiatus, and then COVID was the first time where I was like, okay, because at that point I wasn't jaded anymore, right? At that point, I knew that to be a competitive bodybuilder, I'm going to have to get enhanced. There's just no way around it. And I was still in that. I was still in that. I was still that guy that was like, it's not me. I can't do it. Like I'm natty all the way. I don't know if you remember, Matt Ogus was big at that time. Chris Jones.
Yep.
They were like 3D MJ with Alberto Nunez. The natty bodybuilding movement was strong at that point, right? And I was like, I'm gonna be at the Yorton Cup. I'm gonna be a natty pro. Um, but eventually, when COVID happened, that was the first time in my life that I had a chance to work out. And I'm one of those kind of guys who, if I can't do it 100%, I'm just not gonna do it at all.
Hmm.
So I literally stopped. Jersey shut down for about 3 to 4 months, and I stopped training for like 4 months straight. And during that time, I saw my physique degrade severely. In fact, I'll put those pictures online one day. I'm so ashamed to post those pictures because if you see them, you'll be like, "Nah, that's not you, dude." Like it was, I was like fat, like skinny fat, you
Yeah.
know. Um, And I told myself, like, damn, like, what a shame, man. Like, I spent the last 7, 8 years training. And this is my physique. Like, I never want to be one of those guys in the gym when I'm 40 or 50 years old and be like, I used to look like you once, and young guys like, sure, whatever, dude. But like, you know what? When things open back up, like, I'm gonna take this all the way. Bodybuilding has been a dream of mine. I've just been too afraid to take the next step in doing this. So uh, once COVID ended, I found myself a coach. That was the first time I'd ever worked with a coach before. And I was like, listen, I want to go pro. Like, do you think I can do it? And Nick Bono, you've probably competed with Nick. Nick from Jersey, Nick Bono. I don't know if you know him.
I know I have. I feel like I have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He looked at me, he's like, we'll see, like, and I don't blame him. Like when I saw if I saw those pictures today,
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, I don't know. He's like, we'll see, we'll take our
Yeah.
time. And we this was 2021. So we prepped for the Delaware State Championships. It was like a 23-week prep because he had to recomp me all the way. And I ended up doing the show. I took overall at Delaware, and then that qualified me for nationals. I knew, again, I had been following pro bodybuilding for at this point 10 years.
Hmm.
I knew my physique was not a pro bodybuilder's physique at that point, right? So I wanted to take an extra year, put on a little bit of size, and get my hand in nationals and see what happens. So we took the year 2022 is when I went into nationals. And that was the first time people started kind of hearing of me on the scene, right? At nationals in Florida. That
Hmm.
was the year that it was in Florida instead of Texas.
Right.
And I ended up coming seventh that show. I wasn't lean. Came seventh in the heavyweights. I wasn't like super lean. I could have been like fully shredded, but I was just big. I was like one of the bigger heavyweights. And that's
Hmm.
kind of when Suleios and all these guys started finding me out. And that was my first national show. It was my first time competing with people at that level. I, Before that point, again, like I said, I'd been comparing myself to pro bodybuilding. So I'm like, I'm not there yet. I don't even know if I can turn pro. Then I got there and I saw people at nationals and I said, okay, I can beat these guys. I know what I need to do. I may not be as big as an IFBB pro, but I know I can win this level. That
Hmm.
was when I really had that confidence. And at that point, I met Sid Rai. You know
Yeah,
him,
I know
our
Sid.
good buddy Sid.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I had talked with him, and basically Sid came third at that show, and he was like the most shredded guy in the lineup. So I was like, I know I can't get that shredded. I've never done it before. So I need to talk to someone who's done this and just give me his honest opinion. And if you know Sid, Sid tells you as it is. He doesn't
He'll tell
lie,
you
right?
straight.
He tells you straight up.
Yep.
So he's like, bro, you need a lot of work, man. Like you're posing with shit, you know. You could have been a lot leaner. And like from talking with him, it made me realize, like, wow, I don't know shit about this bodybuilding thing. I know nothing. So eventually I started working with Andrew Vu. So Sid was working with Andrew Vu. So I went under Andrew Vu as well
Right.
from there. And I that was when I really, really started serious bodybuilding. Um, I learned how to pose. Sid was literally my posing coach. He
Hmm.
taught me how to pose. Andrew did my diet, my training. Andrew did my training for my workouts, and then I would check in with both of them literally for that straight year. And when I first started with Andrew, I had told him that, okay, he's like, what do you want to do? Remember originally with Nick, I said, oh, I want to turn pro. And Andrew, I was like, if I come first call outs and nationals, I'll be happy, And he's like, nah, man, we're winning this shit. Like, you have the physique to win this. And I'm like, you serious? You sure? And he's like, yeah. So I was like, maybe we'll do an off season and come back. He's like, no, from nationals, we're going straight to North Americans. So we did literally 6 weeks of an off season. And we went from there. We started prep for North Americans. And during that time is what I said. Like, so between that time for nationals was December. North Americans is what, like
Last week in
July,
August.
August,
Yeah.
August. Yeah. So from January to August was basically like my full intro into
Hmm.
like serious bodybuilding, right? And yeah, they turned me around. They really turned me around. And what came out at that show in North Americans is the product of that whole process that we just talked about. So I
Yeah.
took overall there at North Americans, and that's how I turned pro. So 4 shows. I did New Jersey to qualify the week before that. So I did 4 shows total in the NPC, and then I turned pro.
Yeah, that's it. That's quite the story, man. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like it. I feel like Chris, I feel like we've talked about this so many times. We're like, what he just mentioned, like whether it's a friend or somebody that you see as a mentor, ultimately your coach, like if you don't have someone that's gonna tell you the truth, if you have someone that's bullshitting you, it makes people just so delusional in this sport. Like you have to have people because almost inevitably, like when you're starting out, you either like you think you're bigger than you are, or when you're prepping for your first couple shows, you think you're leaner than you are. And like these people out there, again, whether they're your friends or your coach, and I see it all the time, like they don't shoot people straight. And then I check their stories and they're like, they post a picture and they're like, I'm 6 weeks out. Coach says we're looking good. And it's like 6 weeks out. Like it's 26 weeks out, maybe. Did you forget the two in there? And so like I just feel like it's one of the most important things. It just is from the beginning, like to have just brutal honesty with like where you're at, where you think you can go. Otherwise, it just sets people up for just disaster, I feel like. So I thought that was cool. I feel like that's just a game changer for people.
Yeah, no, 100%. And just like you said, it's to the athlete as well. It's two ways, right? So you can take that information You can process it. You may be hurt internally, but you can process it and say, okay, how do I get better? Tell me what I need to do to get better. Or you can take that and say, you know what? Fuck you. Like my friends are telling me I look good. You're probably just hating and you're delusional. And then that's how you don't make progress, right? So it's very important to be open to criticism, especially when it's coming from people you respect. So that's another caveat that I wanted to put there. When you say friends, it has to be people that have experience in the industry, right? A guy who's been around the national level, competed around the national level. They know what you're talking about. A guy who's turned pro, a coach who's worked with multiple athletes that turned them pro, someone with a resume that can back that up. Um, and when you get that information, when you take it in, you don't, you know, you don't get butt hurt, right? You basically come back and say, okay, you're probably right. How do I fix this? How do I get better? And that ultimately, from every single level, is how you continue to progress. So that was my story for North Americans to turn pro. Till today, that process is still there, right? I still send Sid my check-in photos from time to time. I'm like, what do I need to fix? Again, good old buddy Sid.
Oh yeah.
You look like shit here, you know? And that's how you get better. That's honestly how you get better. So mhm.
Yeah, I love that, man. And like Kirchhoff was saying, like you have to have those people to be, to reach the ultimate level of success. Most of us have those types of people, and it's like, like you're kind of nervous, like when you hit the send and then you send it, and it's like, all right, just give it to me. Like, I don't want to hear any, I don't just tell me exactly how it is, and you're just prepared for it, but at the same time, you want to get better. Like you are coachable.
Right. Right. And that's the most important thing of being an athlete, right? Because I always say this, the problem with bodybuilding today is the barrier to entry is so low. So you're going to have multiple types of people who try to approach the sport who are not being realistic with their expectations. The same way I can't say I want to be go to the NBA today and I want to learn how to dunk when I'm only 5'6", 5'7". It's not going to happen, right? It's just not going to happen. It's the same thing with bodybuilding. I think sometimes try to we try to really, really cover up the genetic portion of the sport, right? It's like everyone works hard. Listen, everyone I've competed with at the national level, they all work hard. The top 10 at Nationals 2022, Nationals, North Americans, all those guys were all friends. They bust your ass, you know? So because someone wins a show doesn't mean he's the guy who works the hardest all the time. It may just mean their formula may be the one that works best for them. And guess what? He also has the genetics to make that happen, right? I'm 275 today, off season. I'm not really pushing food hard. There are guys I know who are eating 6 meals, 4,000, 5,000 calories, and they can't break 240, right? Does that mean he's not working hard enough? No. But there's a genetic aspect to it as well that sometimes we try to put under the rug because when you put that out there, people feel like their hard work is being replaced by genetics, which isn't true. I think there's a combination of both that makes a top IFBB pro bodybuilder. So it's just something that I think as a sport we have to do better at. I always make this joke of Branch Warren is like, and I love Branch. He says, "Oh, I didn't have genetics, to win the Olympia." And I'm just like, "Bro, you serious, bro? Like, you came second at the
Yeah.
Olympia in 2009, and you're telling me you didn't have the genetics? Like, come on now, you know?"
Yeah. I mean, literally one guy stood ahead of him, in his
Yeah,
way, you know? Yeah. Plus the way he trains, no disrespect, but it's just like, I mean, he grew incredibly training like that.
yeah, and it's just look at forget the form because you know I think there's different ways to get to the same goal. But he had injuries. Yeah, Branch had some injuries in his experience in his career. But for how he trains, his injuries were so minimal. I mean, he tore his quad from riding a horse, from falling off a horse. It wasn't like he tore it in the gym squatting.
Right.
So just the just again, the resilience of his body as well, just to handle that kind of training alone, is also a genetic propensity that people don't take into account, right?
I feel
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
one of the things I feel like I brought up to you a while ago, Chris, was like you have this like to me there's like four quadrants, right? You have like your genetic potential, then you have people that your genetic potential to respond to gear, then you have how you respond to training. But there's one like that I feel like never is talked about is what is your genetic response with your connective tissue, your joints, your tendons, where like there are people out there that I've seen them go in the gym and put 315 on the barbell and that's their warm up and they just start squatting. Where I'm in there and it's like three sets with a plate, then we're going to 185, then we're going to 225, and like you just either some people just have it or they don't, and it carries people such a long way. I look at people that train and that are like this new obsession with like the low volume, like all that matters is progressive overload, and that's great, that's fine. But I'm also like, if you don't fit that quadrant and you don't have joints of steel, that training is going to destroy you because you're not meant to put 12 plates on a hack squat. You're meant to do 30 sets probably. With less weight and more reps and shorter rests, you're not meant to be this low volume guy because something's going to break on you. And so I feel like Branch is probably a great example of that. Like people that just have these gifted tendons, and not everyone realizes that like not everyone's joints are the same. Like you don't have the same amount of connective tissue, like you know what I mean, like the thickness of people's joints. And so like there's a huge aspect of genetic potential within your joints that a lot of people overlook, and they try to fit their training style. It's like trying to fit the round peg in the square hole, and then their body breaks down and they just they wonder why, or they couldn't put two and two together, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, you can't say it's the gear. Gear doesn't help connective tissue,
Yeah.
right? You can't say it's the gear. It's
Yeah.
just it's essentially the genetics. I mean, if you look at those old Battle for the Olympia videos, it's funny you said that because I saw like one with Lee Priest squatting. He was doing hack squats. It was pretty heavy. The one thing I noticed is he wasn't wrapped, no bands,
Yeah.
nothing, no knee sleeves, no wraps.
Yeah.
This guy was squatting heavy. This was like, I don't know, 6 weeks to the Olympia.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, his joints can handle that at that being that lean at that point in time. It just goes to show, like and like you said, not the training. I think training styles today, we get married to principles, especially the trending ones that top champions are doing and things like that. But one training style isn't there's multiple ways to get to the same point. Phil Heath, yes, he's genetically elite. Phil Heath never did low volume. Ronnie Coleman never did low volume. Lee Haney never did low volume, right? And then you have guys like Dorian who did that, right, to get to where they are. Hadi Chupin. Hadi is a high volume, high rep. Forget the form. The form's not even there, right? But look at the physique. So sometimes I think that we're in an age now where information has crippled progress,
Mhm.
where people just want to, if it's not picture perfect, in their mind, that person is not making progress. And that is further from the truth, so far from the truth.
I think if you're like what you said, when you watch people too, it's like people don't observe. Like somehow we've thrown out like we don't watch anybody from like the 90s, the early 2000s. Like all that footage is out there, like literally endless of footage now on YouTube. And it's like where you mentioned Lee Priest. Go watch it, like go watch 10 different Cutler DVDs that are all on YouTube. The dude has never put a knee sleeve on. Literally half of them he's just in shorts, and it's like 4 plate Smith squat to 8 plate leg press. There's one where he does like a 9 plate like hack squat as like the third exercise, not a knee sleeve in sight. I feel like he's in like there's no like Olympic lifting shoe. There's no like flat shoe. It's like just like a cross trainer. And it's like, and he didn't no extensive warm up. He just warmed up on like extensions. And then here we go. We're into like the squats with just like, picture perfect, like burying the squat. Knees are kind of driving over the toes, just perfection. No supportive gear at all. Like it's wild.
Yeah,
Yeah. Ken,
100%.
it's funny too, because so me and Kirchhoff, we used to be roommates and training partners in college. And like before every session, I mean, we would just throw like one of the Battle for the Olympias in, or, we would throw in something to get motivated. And then the gym, we'd just have to walk across campus. And like that would be like the center of our like entire day. And it's funny too, because like you brought it up and it's like, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly the video. But nowadays, like Kirchhoff was saying, people, you say Battle for the Olympiad, most people are like, what's that?
Yeah.
Like you
They're
didn't watch all
watching,
these
they're
DVDs.
watching,
Like,
they're training off of watching reels from some 180-pound kid. I'm like, there's 50 Olympia titles in YouTube videos if you guys want to go watch them, like Coleman, Heath, like Cutler, they're all on there. All their videos are uploaded, but we're watching the kid with no resume tell you that here are my 5 S-tier chest exercises. He's got no chest. Like something's gone really
Yeah.
wrong.
No, it's crazy. I mean, 2 weeks ago, I interviewed Mike Pulcinella. So Mike is he's the creator of the Kai Green Overkill and the
yeah,
Raising the Bar series, right? And we had him on an interview and just like going through, Kai's mentality during that whole time and that whole period. And just like you said, comparing today, like who I guess the younger generation looks up to versus who we did at that time, Kai going into the desert, busting his ass for his first Olympia, he overdid it, right? That's why it's called overkill. But back then, it wasn't, back then, effort was the number one principle that mattered. I think today the premise, especially with science, is recovery, right? Recovery, how much you can recover from. And sometimes I feel like people take that line and they try to do less as they can to get whatever they can from it, which it should totally not be that way at all, right? Like the human body, if you're not working construction out there in the heat all day or in the cold, you can recover from going balls to the wall at least 5 times a week. I don't care what anyone says. You could do 50 sets. You can recover, right? So I think that we've taken parts of whatever the science says. I'm not a science guy, but you've taken parts of whatever that science literature is about muscle building, and people are using that to fit whatever they can in terms of getting away with the least versus doing more. Like when I see a kid in the gym today and his form is absolute shit and he's lifting heavy ass weights, screaming his ass off, going in, I respect that kid. I prefer that guy versus the guy who's got, all the apparatus to try and do this kooky exercise, right? To just lock himself in the right. That guy's never going to make progress. But that kid who's trying his best, benching 3 plates, at some point, once he starts to refine, he's going to ultimately be so much stronger than the other guy. No matter what you say, he's going to be so much stronger and he'll be able to get way more out of his workouts versus the other guy who's been trying to optimize before he even built anything.
I feel like this whatever's gone on where we're like rejecting, which literally has stood the test of time, like anecdotal evidence, like bro science in this sport has stood the test of time. Like going back, the volume training, going back to like the Arnold and those guys, even down to they're like, oh, we'll just out of nowhere be like, let's eat 1 gram per pound of protein. It has stood the test of time. And I used to work in like strength conditioning, and I used to work with athletes, and I used to work in a world where I would look at scientific literature. Like I used to do powerlifting. I used to train at Westside Barbell. And one of the reasons that they were so successful is that Louis had translated all of these like Russian manuals and everything that they were doing. He had them translated to see what they were doing. Well, when it comes to strength training, how you get stronger, percentages and science and all those things very much apply. But when it comes to hypertrophy, it really doesn't. I don't understand where they're getting these studies from, because a scientific study on hypertrophy is vastly different from strength, to where first off, if you follow somebody for 16 weeks, let's say the standard study, a lot of them aren't long, 16 weeks, and it's a strength study, you can identify measurable results. How much somebody put on a bench press, how much somebody put on their squat, because strength can change over 16 weeks. Hypertrophy doesn't, right? Like how many guys are grinding out to put on 3 to 5 pounds of muscle in an off season. So if you only follow somebody for 16 weeks, you're not going to have crap for data. And then the other part is, let's say you followed them for a year. Well, what's their diet? Because the other part is that in strength, the calories aren't going to matter as much. If everyone pretty much just stays the same weight, does whatever they're doing, you can still observe what they did strength wise. If you have two groups, a group A and a group B, and we got them on low volume or high volume, whatever studying, but one group's eating a ton of calories in a surplus, eating protein, and the other one isn't, the results aren't going to matter. They, I mean, and like all of these variables aren't accounted for in these whatever these hypertrophy studies that these people are using to claim, builds muscle. Like I can 99% of them throw them out the door just reading the abstract.
Right.
Absolutely. One other crazy thing too, like Ken, obviously you're at Destination Dallas, which that's where we trained when we were down there for the winter, right? So we've been there a million times. And since we moved to Vegas, we're at New Tech Gym, which, it opened over the Olympia. Were you at the Olympia, Ken? Have you been to New Tech?
The last time I was there, not this, I was at the last Olympia, not this one. The gym was still being built at that point. Yeah.
Okay. So me and Kirchhoff talked about this, the other day, and it's kind of like what you guys were talking about is like, the sets, the guy in the gym who's pushing hard. On the flip side of it, and I won't say any names, I won't say like this is a smaller percentage of pros. Because like you said, Ken, like most pros are training, balls out, right?
Yeah.
But on the flip side, and I understand it from a financial standpoint, but on the flip side, I'm working literally alongside Olympians, Arnold Classic winners. I mean, who did I see today? Every day I train alongside Mike Sommerfeld. I see Regan Grimes every day. I see Keown. So there's a ton of pros coming in and out of there. And yes, 99% of them have the tripods. I get it, because it pays so well, right, with the IG. But I'm seeing some of these pros and they do their top set and they film it, but then the rest of their workout, like
Yeah.
they're not training. Like you have one job to do, one job. Eat your meals and train, right? Like that's it. That's your day. They're getting paid now from Instagram, which is great. I love that people are getting paid for their profession, and some of them are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and that's great. But it's like you have literally an hour to bust your ass in the gym. You get your one clip, and that's it. Like that's the workout.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys. I'll tell you this. Any workout you see from me on my post on Instagram, it was a shit workout. 100%. It was a shit. That's why I don't record every day.
Yeah.
So to me, like the guys who I, people that say, okay, you record your set, the tripod out, I can still get an effective workout. Personally, for me, I can't. Like working out is not just a physical thing, it's mental as well.
Hmm.
If part of my capacity, my mental capacity is being drawn to making sure I get that set recorded, making sure it's the right angle, I'm not 100% all in. So to get to what I was saying with your points, it is true. I do see it. I do see it now that Absolute Recomp is open here. There's a lot
Hmm.
of pros that train at Absolute. I've gone there a few times, and I see it. Some people, it's more about the um the likes, right? The likes and whatever you get, and it's basically a part of it is essentially what Dorian. I think Dorian is famous for saying this, right? It's like you do all these things to get to a certain point, right? To turn pro, to get to the Olympia. And then when you get there, you start to get opportunities, right? Opportunities to make money, opportunities to do these things. But you don't realize that in the context of getting all those things, you start to draw away from what got you there in the first place,
Hmm.
right? And that's why you'll see sometimes that people don't necessarily make bigger leaps in progress once they turn pro or once they get so they kind of just like coast around the same, right? Because now there are other things taking away from their ability to, continue to push, continue to get that love that got them there. And I get it. Listen, if you're making $2,000 per post or whatever they're making from these, who can ignore that, right? Like
Yeah.
who will be you'll be an idiot to pass that up. But at the same time, you also know yourself that like you're not giving it your all, you know. it's a hard part. I think that's the hardest part of bodybuilding right now in the age we're in. I just don't know where it goes from here. But it's like for you to really make money as a top level pro, you have to be out there, right? You have to be making the posts, you have to do the social media thing. One thing I do know for most pros, they don't like doing it. I know for a fact most pros that I've talked to, they don't like doing it, but they have to make a living. They have to support their contracts and all of this kind of stuff. So it's kind of a hard line. It's a really hard line. Just that's why, like, even when it's competitive competition season, if you see a guy that's not posting at all, that's the guy you should be worried about. The guy
Yes.
who doesn't post, Andrew, before the Olympia, think you're a peep.
Yeah.
Those are the guys you need, even on the amateur level. Like, if you don't see a guy posting his progress, nothing, that is usually the guy you should be worried about because he's doing everything that he can to make sure when he shows up, he's gonna whoop your ass. So it's
That
it's just it's a symptom of where we are, today.
that was like like where you mentioned Dorian. That was like Dorian's philosophy where he's like, nobody saw me. Nobody saw me in the off season. Like those his nickname's the Shadow. Like he would just show up. They hadn't seen him since the last Olympia, and then time to get second
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. I think for pros, especially newer pros, I can't speak to pros that are really, really making a living off of this, but newer pros or amateurs that are coming up, the best advice that I would give, because especially if you're an amateur that's trying to turn pro, yeah, you do need social media. Like everything we're saying is true, but if you really want to make something, you want to get sponsorships or contracts, you need to have some kind of social media presence, or it's just not going to happen. You know. So what I would say is, I'll give an example of what I do, right? One day out of the week, it could be a Saturday, or maybe I would do that body part the second time I'm doing that body part for the week. One of those, maybe out of the week, is the one you record. Don't record all your workouts. Pick one, try to get it as hard as you can, but just know, at least for me, it's never 100% all in, right? Because unless you have someone filming you from a bird's eye view. If you're able to do that and you can do it cheap, go ahead and do it. But
Told him.
pick one. Don't record all of them. And then from that footage, what I do is from that specific footage, I can make reels out of it. If it's a full, I can make a YouTube video out of it. That way, I'm not compromising the entirety of my week, not making progress, right? Because just from a sponsorship contracts and things like that for people, I remember, and I've always talked about this when I was going to North Americans and I was about to, I knew, at that point I was like one of the guys in the running to turn pro, right? So I had reached out to Fuad. We had been talking, and they had asked me, "Do you have a YouTube?" I didn't
Mhm.
have a YouTube at the time. I didn't have YouTube. How many Instagram followers? I had like 2,000 Instagram followers at the time. I hadn't said a word on Instagram. It was just pictures,
Yeah.
right? No one even knew what I sounded like. It was just pictures. And they're like, okay, you only have 2,000 followers. Okay, you do YouTube? No. You have a TikTok? No. I've never even gone on the site, right? So they're like, hey, man, like, listen, like, I think you're going to do great. Wish you luck. But right now, the budget and the way things are, it's most likely not going to happen. And that was when I realized that being a good bodybuilder alone is not enough. You
Mhm.
know, in this day and age where we are in the landscape of the sport, being a good bodybuilder is not enough. Like if you want to be able to make money, because as an amateur, right? Like we do it for the love of the game. We're grinding day in, day out. We all work regular jobs and then we go compete. That's the amateur life, right? And many amateurs aspire to get to a point where they can drop their day job and do bodybuilding full time. But no one is going to give you that opportunity if you don't have a portfolio. Your portfolio is basically your online presence,
Right.
right? So start building it now. It took me, thankfully I was able to start doing it when I turned pro. So my first pro season, I got that documented. It's difficult when you start, but eventually it gets a lot better, right? So I do like 2 YouTube videos a month. I work just like everyone else. I don't have time for a cameraman following me all day. So I do at least 2 videos a month, and then I'm able to post for my sponsors and do all that other stuff. But the importance is you start now because when you get to a certain point, when you turn pro, especially, no one likes to admit it. If you don't have that presence online as a pro, especially if you're on like classic or physique, where it's like hundreds of guys, it can be pretty hard to get seen, man. Everyone's good at that level,
Mhm.
unless you're like absolutely exceptional. And at that point, the pages would have blown you up anyway. So you'd be fine, you know? But you have to do a little bit of work on your end to kind of market yourself. The days of magazines, marketing athletes to turn pro and things like that, those days are over. So you got to do a little bit of marketing for yourself.
Chris,
Yeah.
were you paying attention? Were you paying attention to that? When you
Oh
play
yeah.
this back, I want you to watch that like he was just speaking to you. I'm on him. This is my best friend. I have been on him for months about creating more social media content. He hates it as much as I do, but I'm not even close to like on your guys' level. But I hate it. I hate recording, a set with the tripod. I hate even like the social media that does stuff that I do with like different businesses, things that I run. I hate recording content. I just want to live my life without a cell phone. I don't mind once I have the footage, like I don't mind creating reels and creating it once I have the footage. It's capturing it and like, oh, I don't have enough. Like I do a lot of outdoor stuff and I'm always like, I don't have enough. I got to rinse and recycle what I have. And it's like the same I can see with a workout. You record one workout and it's like, well, how many stories, how many reels, how many things can I make out of one thing? I told him to hire somebody. I'm like, once in a while, you got to hire somebody because like I hate the tripod. He hates the tripod. I'm like, well, maybe it'd be different if someone's just following you around. They stay out of your way, they capture the footage, and then you have, a whole workout or something to kind of work with. But I've been trying to get on him. I'm like, you gotta
Yeah.
build this up. This is it. You got to
Yeah.
take
You
advantage of the opportunity and the lifetime that it's existing.
Yeah, you definitely gotta hire someone. Like when I was in Jersey, my guy Dylan was doing it. I got a guy here, and he does the two videos. Out of that, I may pull something for a reel too.
Hmm.
So you definitely got to have a guy on a retainer that kind of helps you with this stuff. Especially, I'm at the point now where I kind of look at it differently. I don't look at it from, and I started this podcast saying the same thing. I don't look at it from a perspective of I need to do this for companies to see me. It's more of you realize after a while, like your bodybuilding career is not that long, man.
Right.
What do you got? Like 10 years, 10 years to be like a really good pro. By the time everyone hits like, by the time you hit 40, like it's on the down, I hope I'm done by, unless I'm at the Olympia, like I
Yeah.
hope I'm done by 40. But yeah, so think about it as like there's no one like Mitsuru documenting your journeys anymore. You got to do it yourself. And it's something that you can look back on, 10 years from now and say, wow, that was a really great time of my life. You can maybe show your kids at some point someday. That was a really great time in my life, doing it. So you can appreciate also um the dedication and the sacrifice. Because you all know once your head comes out of the sand of doing this, it doesn't go back in, man. Like once you leave the tunnel, you're not coming back. Like, so you got to appreciate it when you're in it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally felt that when you were talking about the tripods. Like I felt that because like I just used one for the first time like a week ago. And don't get me wrong, like I get footage in the gym. I have, like Kirkhoff was saying, I have so much footage. Like, let's face it, 10 years ago was my prime, like, you know, North Americans Nationals. I've done 32 shows, so like I have a
Damn.
I have a lot of experience when it comes to coaching and bodybuilding, and I have so much footage that no one's ever seen. Like I got 54,000 pictures on my phone, like of mostly clients and my preps. So it's like I got all this stuff to share and this and that. And like you guys were saying, I have to treat that part as a business now too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's important.
It's not even like when people are watching, like I when I'm in my home gym, even like I don't even want to set up the tripod. It has like it feels like, it takes me out of my rhythm. Like I'm in this place mentally, and now it's like, all right, where am I putting this to get, the right angle? And then you literally put the camera in the tripod, and then you're looking and you're like, is this gonna work? And then the worst part is if it doesn't, you watch it back, and you're like, oh, the angle was too low, or whatever. Then you get pissed, especially if it was like, a top set or something. You're like, oh, what a waste. Then I'm even more mad. I've broken a couple tripods. I just threw them across the gym. Like, this is so stupid.
It's always the top set, man. It's always the top set. And I go back and I'm like, like half of myself is not even in the screen,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, that's or when you upload it, then it didn't format into like Instagram properly. So yeah, like your head's cut off from the thing. You're like, I give up.
Yeah, you're like, you can't post this. Like
But that's another thing. I've tried to I used to be because of the way social media is, I used to try to be so perfect of my posting, I've got to be the perfect angle, like, it's got to be clean, it's got to be professional. It's like these days, I'll be honest, guys, I just don't care anymore,
Mhm.
like I just don't care anymore. Like I posted a posing update yesterday, of my off season. And like Beatty put in the caption, uh, acapella posing is wild, because there was no music, nothing. I just posted it.
Yeah.
It's, but it's like I'm just at the point where it's kind of like, this is it, man. Like take it or leave it. This is it. Like just take it or leave it. So sometimes I think that authenticity, also the simplicity of it. I think that there's something to be said about that, because even myself, when I see some videos these days where it's like extremely well done, I'm kind of put off a little bit.
Mhm.
I just want to see the raw shit. I just want to see it raw, like the raw shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like just not thinking too much about it, even if it's the wrong angle, just fuck it, just post it.
Yep. I'll tell you about some raw shit. So Kirchhoff has seen this video, and I got to be honest with you because I'm such a crazy like all in bodybuilding fan that probably not a lot of people have seen this clip. So I used to work at GNC for a period of my time, and I'd always get my subs there before like Vitamin Shop or like the online thing came out. Well, at the time, I knew some owners, some workers at GNC, and I saw this clip going in one time. It was when Ronnie was with BSN. Okay, so it's like Ronnie and Triple H was also signed with BSN. This is way back. This was probably like '04. And I saw this clip playing, at the GNC, and I'm like, gosh, at the time, like before Phil came out, like I was the biggest Ronnie fan alive. Like
Yeah.
I was there for like all the Ronnie versus Jay area. I was all there. So like I'm this huge fan, and I'm like, I got all the magazines. I'm like, I need that video. Like I need that video, man. So like he's like, all right, let me see what I can do. Obviously, they couldn't give me the store DVD, right? So through the Connect, he was able to get BSN to send me this little DVD of the BSN clip. I swear, probably only a few people have seen this. It didn't even like they wouldn't even play this thing on the thing. It was just like certain clips that they were advertising Triple H and Coleman. Well, they're just messing around like before they're doing the incline. And Triple H, he's doing the incline with 315, and they wanted him to like spit out, like he does in the wrestling.
Yeah.
So they're just goofing around, and then they put three plates on. And like they're literally just goofing around, like they're just filming. And Ronnie picks up the 315 and he curls it for 2 reps just fucking around.
The fuck.
And like that's the raw stuff that like probably hardly anyone's seen because it wasn't like a promo. That was literally like the backstage stuff.
Now you got to post that. If you don't post it, at least send it to me. I want
Dude,
to
I
see it.
gotta I gotta send you that because I have this clip and
Yeah.
I swear like I'm one of those crazy fans where I'm like I had to have this video.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to see that, man. That's crazy. That is
Yeah,
crazy.
I will definitely send that to you. Kind of along the same lines. Obviously, you got into it. You met your first pro. What would you say, like, who's the most impressive pro you've seen, like, when you were, like, on the climb?
Most impressive pro I've seen. That's a good question. Okay. Most impressive pro, Rolly Winkler. 20, was it 2014 New York Pro? I don't know if it was 2014. The one with Dexter, the one
Yeah,
Dexter won.
yeah.
Most impressive, dude. His tricep was the size of my head. Like just mass, just mass in its rawest form
Hmm.
at that point. I remember he hit the most muscular. And New York, if you ever been to a New York Pro, it is the rowdiest show you'll ever go to. It's the rowdiest pro show you'll ever go to. The only pro shows that are rowdier than that is in Brazil. There's no other ones in the US.
Yeah.
Bro, he hit the most muscular, the crowd went silent. Like during his posing. The crowd went, everyone just stopped. It's like
Wow.
the room just stopped. Um, and I think that was one of Rolly's like one of his better showings. This is way before he went too big when he went to Oxygen, right?
Hmm.
It was like in between when he had just started with them.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, no, 2020, yeah, I would say 2014 Rolly Winkler, that was probably the craziest pro that I've seen um in person. Yeah, in person, just the size, right? Yeah. Everyone else, I won't say anyone else has been freaky like that, so to say. Um, if I'm thinking of like modern day since then, yeah, I don't know. I would say it has to be Rolly. It has to be because even when I compare it to today's crop, like guys are big and freaky. Like Nick is pretty big and freaky, but it's just the proportions are just different, like
Hmm.
his shoulders, his arms, like Rolly was just, and his face would like squeeze up, like when he does his poses, it's like it makes extra effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rolly was definitely, I would say, the freakiest that I've seen at that time.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one, man.
What about you? What about you guys?
So Kirchhoff was with me. I want to say, was it '03 or '04 Olympia? We literally had the third row like dead center.
I think it's '03.
'03.
But that was the only other time that I mean that's probably
Yeah.
again same thing that the crowd just silence when Coleman came out. Just absolute like
Yeah,
disbelief.
Yeah. And then it was
damn.
like once they kind of saw it, like people were like laughing. They were just like laughing because they're like, what are we looking at?
That's
Like
crazy. I mean, you guys got to see Ronnie, like, I mean, 2003, he was still in his prime, like, I think like 2005 is when he started to. So, like, yeah, the fact you guys got to see that is kind of crazy, man. There's only a few people that
yeah.
have seen that, man. That's kind of crazy. That's
I
kind
got
of
to send you
crazy.
some pictures, man, after this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It was Ronnie and then I mean for me for sure Phil's my guy. Like
yeah.
I was there through like the whole Phil Kai era.
Era.
I mean, it was two different, but it was just like two different physiques, obviously. But like the 3D from Phil, like that effect was just like absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
Like he'd walk out and like people talk about it now, like, Bob obviously has seen it. But if you haven't seen it in person, I don't know if there's a video that captures that. It just looks like his muscles were just filled with like helium. I mean, it was just so blown out. But then it's like when he hit the shots, it was like the level of detail with that 3D was just out of this world.
man. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like some of these guys, I feel like you only get them once in a generation. And you know what's so crazy, man, is when you look back at those eras, like now the nostalgia set in, right? But I
Hmm.
remember when Phil was going through the gauntlet, man, like when he was on top. I remember people were like, yeah, bodybuilding is dead. Like Phil is not a great champion,
Yep.
like Kai should have won. And now it's like everyone loves him, but back then, Phil was not really liked, man. People did not like Phil. I remember like Louis Marco at the time too. He would like make videos. Fans would be sending Louis any kind of videos or pictures they had of Phil in public, and
Hmm.
he would be posting that online. It was crazy. So in hindsight, it's kind of like I remember the same like now today they're saying, "Oh, bodybuilding is dead today." They were saying that in Phil's time as well, right? They
Yeah.
were like, "Oh, people weren't competing," and that's why the point system came out around that time to get more open pros to kind of compete. For the people watching, if you don't realize, there was a point system that was implemented in the IFBB at some point, and the more points you had, the chances you could go to the Olympia, even if you didn't win. It was created because people weren't competing. So when you look at the times and now today you got 20 23 guy average per show and open, like I don't understand how you could say like it's dying or it's dead, things like that. But yeah, everyone always leaves out the context of the time, right? Like
Yeah.
Phil's and the Ronnie is so beloved now, but back then too people wanted Ronnie to lose. There was in the J camp or the Ronnie camp, you
Yeah.
know it's kind of like it's crazy when you look back. It's crazy.
I can't
Hmm.
hear Phil's story without immediately just like my flashback of seeing him the first time. I mean he doesn't know this story, but I saw Phil Heath when he was in college. Like I
Really?
literally discovered this dude.
Really?
The story that nobody knows.
Yeah.
I got to tell Phil the story at the Olympia 2 years ago, and he thought it was great. I'm like, yeah, I saw you in your college weight room, and I asked the strength coach who you are. He's like, oh, that's Phil Heath. I'm like, is he any good at basketball? And I didn't tell Phil that the guy told me no, but I was like, all right, well, if he wants to be Mr. Olympia someday, he could be.
Crazy. Yeah.
Oh man.
Ken, you know what's crazy too? Like I've been to a lot of pro shows. I now just listening to you talk about New York, I have not been to the New York Pro, but it's like Phil won that show at 208 pounds. Like
Yeah.
this is the open. This isn't the 212. Like that's just ridiculous.
Yeah. No, it's crazy, but it also goes to show like how far the sport has come to. Like back then, if you look at when Phil and Kai came on the scene versus people remember Phil and Kai towards the latter parts, right? Like
Hmm.
the 2010s downwards. But when you look at when they first came on the scene, when Kai first won his pro show, the Kai that won his first pro show wasn't the Kai people remember. He was a lot smaller.
Right.
Um, Back then, also, like compared to today, you could win pro shows at like sub 220. With the right proportions, the right size. Today, it's pretty difficult.
Hmm.
It's pretty difficult to do because everyone is so big, right? So, like judges, they're not going to give it to a guy who's significantly smaller, but he's put together very well, right? A
Hmm.
guy a guy that comes to mind for me is a guy like Nate Spear, not Nate Spear, Nathan Epler,
Epler.
Nathan Epler, yeah,
Yep.
Nathan Epler, right? Like Chicago, what was it, last year or 2 years? He looked beautiful, like beautiful physique.
Crazy.
There's nothing I could say on that physique that I would be like, yeah, he doesn't have it. But he was too small,
Yeah.
But I feel like a physique like that, in the sub 2010s, he wouldn't win an Arnold, but I feel like he could have won a pro show back then,
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, I forget his name. He was with Granite. He was with John Meadows. He was a little bit older, but he used to come in super shredded. I forget his name, but yeah, point I'm trying to make is like you didn't have to be super big
Hmm.
to win shows back then. Look, Akeem was a mass monster back then. He's still a mass monster, but Akeem is not one of the biggest guys anymore.
Right.
Like put it in that perspective. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's not one of the biggest guys anymore. But back then he was. Guys are a lot bigger, and people are coming in with crazy proportions. The Andrew Jacks, the Samsons. Not even that. Look at Urs, right? Just the other day, like it's coming in
Mhm.
like what 250 on stage with those proportions. It's kind of wild. So, and that's why I say like I really believe we're in another golden age, but the flowers won't be there till it's all over. Maybe 10 years from now, people are going to look back at this age and they're going to say, wow, can you believe a guy like Andrew and Samson were on stage, and we didn't say they were great. Kind of like
Mhm.
Big Ramy, 2013, we were like, oh, he needs to be more shredded.
Yeah.
He's not good enough. Now we look back, we're like, what the fuck were we seeing in 2013? How did this guy not get the Olympia back then? He looked better in 2013 than when he won the Olympia,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So it's just perspective sometimes, and how the judging and how times change.
Right, right. I think another guy too, like I don't think Hadi gets enough credit, like unless you see him in person. I mean, he's definitely like one of my favorites currently. It's like if you guys see him, yes, so what? He's got a little bit wider waist, but his shoulders are wide too. But like the level of detail the guy brings is crazy. And like, I had Hadi winning the Olympia, last year. And you have your Derek fans, you have your Hadi fans, but it's like from head to toe, I mean, I don't think there was anyone harder than Hadi Chupon at that show, like
Yeah, I'd say 2020, was it a 2024 Arnold, the one he beat Samson? What's the one he beat Samson? 2024 or 2025?
24. Yeah,
24.
24.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That version of Hadi till today, is the best bodybuilder of this current generation.
I agree.
That version.
Yeah.
Now, the Olympia, he kind of fell short. I know I personally I think Derek won that fair and square.
Hmm.
I know there's a lot of debate. The problem with Hadi at that Olympia was his from the side. I don't know how the prep hit him differently, but he really lost his hamstrings this year from
Hmm.
the side. Like the side poses, he was literally like fourth at that top call outs, on the side pose. And then from the back, he's never as hard from the back, but because his hamstrings were a lot smaller this year, he had a larger imbalance on his back shots. So that's the only reason why I would say Derek beat him. But I do agree, like if the 2024 version of Hadi showed up, personally, that is still I don't think we've seen a version of anyone that is able to beat that version of Hadi. In my opinion,
Yeah.
that's the best bodybuilder of today.
Yeah. That version was insane. And I mean, like, because obviously he did the Olympia, I felt like he should have won the Olympia then. And then somehow, like within a few months, his legs like were insane for the Arnold, where it's like most people you think, well, the Arnold, they're not going to be as good because they just peaked at the Olympia. But, whatever they did in that time that was just crazy.
It's the same thing we say, right? Same thing I said earlier, right? Like it's easier to coast into a show when you're already lean versus trying to get it down. Who knows how hard no one ever, because we're probably never going to know, right? Hadi doesn't really speak English,
Hmm.
but who knows what he has to do to get to that condition a lot of times. Because a guy like him, right, his front comes in hard, but his back, not so much. So as a coach, I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, I can't look at him being lean based on his front shots.
Right.
I gotta look at it from the back, right?
Yeah.
So you may keep pushing the guy, pushing the guy, pushing the guy, and then you start to lose body parts. So I think like the Arnold, they may have let off the gas a little bit more, which would have probably allowed him to come back looking a lot fresher, looking a lot bigger, you know.
Hmm. Definitely. Well, yeah, this has been a good one, man. We got a few rapid fire before we sign off.
Let's do it.
What's your favorite body part to train?
Favorite body part to train. It used to be chest, but I've really been loving back training lately. That's been like my body part to grow. That's been my agenda this off season, and I've really fallen in love with back training. So I'll say currently right now, definitely the back.
Okay. What's your least favorite?
Least favorite. I hate training arms. I think arms is the most boring thing to train.
Yeah.
It's so boring. Like I had to put an arm day back into my rotation just because I noticed from when I really dieted down last year, I lost a little bit of my arms. So I'm like, okay, in case something like that happens again, I need to make sure they're extra big to make sure. So I put back an arm training in versus before I would just do it at the end of like my chest workout or my back workouts. But man, I hate it, dude. It's kind of boring. It's really boring. You don't feel like you're working hard enough, but at the same time, you get the burn from, I do high volume. So you
Hmm.
get a lot of burn from it, but at the same time, you don't feel as taxed, So I don't know. I don't enjoy it at all.
Sure. Favorite cheat meal?
Favorite cheat meal. It has to be, I usually go between burgers and Andrew's not gonna like this. I haven't done it in a while, but I love pizza, man. Pizza is not a viable bodybuilding cheat meal, but it's fucking good.
I knew you were going to say that.
Feel like
Listen,
it's like the top one because it's just like there's no way you go out, you could get a burger and fries,
yeah,
but I'm gonna leave probably still hungry.
yeah,
Pizza, we're leaving, we're gonna be full.
bro.
Fat, the carbs, the sodium. The next day, it's just like it's the perfect meal.
Kirkhoff, and let me tell you, like, that's something I've been struggling with since we got to Jersey, because since we got to Texas, because Jersey is there's a lot of Italians in Jersey, right?
Mhm.
So we've got some of the best pizza in the nation.
Yeah.
Like Some of the best pizza is in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut.
My
Like
wife
that's where
used
you're
to
gonna.
live in my wife used to live in New York, and so like
Yeah,
we went there a few years ago, and it's like, I mean, I pop in this shop on the street and it's like $1.99 pizza. I'm like,
yeah,
and there's a
yeah,
line going out the door. I'm like, this has got to be good. Like
yeah,
it was
dude.
phenomenal. Like
So I'm telling you, like my palate for pizza is a little bit on the higher level,
yeah.
you know. So since we got here, I haven't had pizza that like
You're
makes.
gonna have to search for it, but I mean you'll find
Yeah,
something. They do exist. It's just yeah, you're gonna be probably disappointed more often than not.
yeah, yeah. So definitely pizza for sure.
I'll hear a lot of times from clients like Domino's is their favorite pizza. I'm like,
It's like
you
what?
you are out of your mind. Like,
You're eating in the trash, bro. Like
yeah,
that's not that's
literally.
Not even worth having then.
No, no.
Be on the plan.
All right. Favorite current bodybuilder?
favorite current bodybuilder. Huh. I don't have any favorites because yeah, I don't have any no, I'm kidding. I big favorite bodybuilder, I think there's two. There's two in this category. So one, I mean, because he's on his way out, Bonac is a bodybuilder that I've looked up to since his first Olympia, just because I was a shorter stature bodybuilder too, and he was someone that was making it at the high level in the open, you know. So Bonac has always been one of the guys that's been, you know, a favorite of mine. Like competing with him in New York, and I told him I was like, the fact that I'm able to stand here and compete with you is such a big honor for me. You know, like you're someone that I looked up to my whole career. So I think Bonac would definitely be number one. Um, not for the physique, but just for what he's done for me, like in terms of just like looking up to him and seeing his own trajectory of his career as a guy who's in a similar position as me, you know. Um, and number two, I would say favorite bodybuilders, I would have to say Andrew, just
Mhm.
because Andrew to me is the first bodybuilder in a long time that when he first came on the scene, I was like, what am I looking at? You know, you guys have been in the sport in a while. Everyone's big, everyone's shredded. You've seen it all, right? You see a guy, it's like, okay, he looks good. It's like, yeah, he's probably been in the show, but it's not like nothing tugs on your heartstrings or says, okay, this guy is something. Andrew was the first guy when he showed up in New York that I was like, not New York, Texas, Texas Pro
Texas.
2021.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first guy in a while that I saw that and I was like, holy shit, like what are we looking at here? So from a physique standpoint, I would say that it's definitely Andrew, just because he's really an anomaly in today and Bonac.
Yeah. I was at that show, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
because everyone was like, "Oh, Steve Kuklow's gonna win this," you know,
Yep.
like Kuklow's coming, and Andrew just showed up, and I was watching the live stream, and I was like, "Yeah, this is we haven't seen anything like this." You know, at that point, I was like, "There's no way this guy is not winning this show," and he
Yeah.
wasn't even as big as he is now. You know, so
Right.
should tell you, yeah.
Okay, last one. So you get the option of winning the Mr. Olympia. You're only going to win it one time, and you're going to be regarded as the worst Mr. Olympia to date. Are you choosing that one, or are you going to choose Arnold Classic champion 4 time?
I would choose the Arnold. I'm definitely choosing the Arnold.
Okay.
And let me tell you why. Let me tell you
Okay.
why. So, first off, winning the Arnold four times means that's monetarily speaking, that Arnold is like what, 750 grand right
Yeah.
now?
Yeah. So you're like,
Four times. That's
yeah,
I think I've made a little
3
bit, you know?
million. Hmm.
Yeah. Winning the Arnold four times, if I don't do the Olympia during that time, it could be a what if. I could be a Kai Green. Like what if he did the Olympia? Could he win this thing?
Sure.
It's better to be a what if than to be the worst. Being the worst, you're basically telling me that I'm worse than Chris Dickerson or you know all the other champions that like from the early time, like Franco Colombo, Bob Parrish. They're great bodybuilders, but the sport has progressed, right? So for you to say I'm the worst, that means that my physique is not even up to today's standards. You know?
Hey, I'm with you. I totally get it. Well, yeah, this
great.
is
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. Because I think like because you win the Olympia once, the way the world works today, like your first year, you can you can kind of monetize it and you can still continue to monetize it, but each year it becomes less significant. It's still a significant monumental achievement, right? But from a financial standpoint, it becomes less and less if you continue to compete and you don't continue to achieve that Olympia, right?
right.
Like there are a few Olympia champions who have achieved it that aren't in the first call outs today, that it's not as significant anymore. Like people don't even like Brandon Curry, he's a great bodybuilder, right? But people
Mhm.
don't even consider him in the conversation. This
Yeah.
guy is a former Mr. Olympia, right? And he was a really good one too. But so I look at it from the perspective of it's a four Arnold champion titles. I think that I think four Arnolds would measure up to that one Olympia, or even not even more, in my opinion. Maybe it doesn't go down in the history books 20 years from now, but for the first 10 years, you best believe I'm gonna be on top compared to compared to that guy, you know?
Yeah. And financially, like you said, I mean, 3 million in the bank, like you can do some stuff
Yeah,
with that today now. So
yeah, you know, and I just think the opportunity is a lot more. You have more opportunity with those four Arnolds versus that one Olympia that you won, you know?
yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been a great one, man. I appreciate you coming on. We finally did it.